Mhm.
Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and I'm going to do something I've never done in one of these segments. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to go after a topic that is really near and dear to me because when I think about coachable minds, the ability to be approachable and coachable, we all battle it. Nobody is an exception, present company included. We all battle it. How people perceive us, maybe our attitude in the moment, maybe we've had a prior experience. We are magnets. We either repel and push people away or we pull people in. Now, how do we pull people in? It's usually through kindness, listening, asking questions, being considerate, maybe random acts of kindness. How do we repel or push people away? How do we have the opposite effect of attraction? That is attitude, rolling our eyes, folding our arms, whatever it might be. We send signals every single second. And one of the things that happens in the workplace is we have this very top down approach. We have this triangle. And at the top of the triangle is the executive team, and then the VPs and the directors and the managers and the frontline supervisors. But about 70 to 80% of organizations today are individual contributors. So what's really funny about it is all the money is spent at the top teaching them mentorship, leadership, coaching, which is a main thing that we do. Yet what do we do at the bottom? And I don't mean the bottom in a negative connotation, but the bulk of the organization, the individual contributors. So recently I was at Training Magazine, and one of the questions I asked in one of my sessions was, how many of you have been through a semester, year-long course on how to seek and accept feedback professionally? Nobody's hand went up. So think about that just for a second. Think about that. Most of us have not really rolled over in the morning, get out of bed, say to our spouse, significant other, I can't wait to go to work today. I am going to make it easy for my boss to lead me. I bet you're laughing. Sounds crazy. So let's go back to the numbers. 85% according to Tasha Eurich study, the people lack self-awareness. 71% according to Gallup are neutral or negative. 42% of people are actively looking for jobs. Leaders have it tough. So what we have to do is we have to think about, the missing piece. So I want to show you just a very quick design of a very simple diagram. I want you to think about this in the context of fame. So when you think about fame, I want you to think about feedback. How we accept or even seek feedback defines us. Now, you will not have a person knock on a boss's door and say, boss, I just got to tell you, I really could use my feedback, a little dose of energy. I'm pretty negative and I resist everything you say. You'll never have it. When was the last time someone came into your office and said, my attitude is crap, I need an adjustment? I bet you're laughing. And then I think about motivation. How many of us know those people who walk down the hall? Oh, God, it's going to be a long day. Oh, I've got that meeting at 2:00, and they're just exasperated. Now, something that I think that Gallup, which is a great company, does a great job of is their engagement studies. And the numbers are going down, people. The numbers are significantly going down. And when I think about some of the numbers and everything that's happening, it is really crazy what's happening. Let me just show you something very quickly. So this is from the recent study on feedback. The managers delivering on those key behaviors, recognition for good work. Managers almost say 60% of the time we do it. Direct reports are saying only 30%. Provides weekly feedback. Direct reports are saying 20%. Managers are 50%. So guess what? They're not exactly accurate. So when we think about that, it really creates a hardship in the workplace. So coming back to this diagram, I tell individual contributors, and I don't just tell them, you have to facilitate fame. You have to practice asking for feedback and practicing a professional response. Most haven't. Attitude. Nobody in their right mind is going to say, I got a crappy attitude, I should be fired. A positive attitude needs to be practiced. Motivation, if you don't know what your motivation is, find it. Quit complaining. If you got passed over for a job, get over it. Grow up. And then energized engagement. How we show up. Do we come into a few minutes late to a meeting? How many people do we have like that in our life? Oh, sorry, I was running late. It always cracks me up when someone uses that phrase. You were late, yet you were running. So what happens is we have coachability factors. Our feedback acceptance, our attitude, our teamwork, our emotional intelligence. We have those foundational skills. They define us, everybody. Yet we also have to pursue our motivation. What is it? What do I love? What do I like? What do I dislike? What's my ideal next step? What do I do really well in my present job? And is my performance in my present job going to help somebody or prompt somebody to do what? Help me go to where I want to go. So what we have to think about is everybody can claim fame. Feedback takes practice to receive it. Nobody wants to hear stuff that's negative. We know that. So if you want to hear good stuff, sit down with some people and say, look, I'm practicing feedback. I want to start with some good things that I'm doing. What are 2 good things, boss, that I do really, really well? And just end it there. Yeah, they may want to add some stuff. Don't let them. Go to your teammates. What are 2 things I do really well as a teammate to support you? Build up some momentum and then ask them, where do I have opportunities to improve? I had one of the greatest bosses at IBM. She always said to me, if you don't like feedback, go ask for it before someone has to give it to you. So now let's think about this. You're looking at this diagram, this very simple image. How do you think leaders would feel if people accepted feedback? If people had a more positive attitude, remember 71% are neutral or negative. If people acted or were more motivated within and potentially motivated beyond their job, do you know that people are 23% happier if they're learning outside of their job 5+ hours a week? An energized engagement, on time, smiling, present, always ready to listen. Now, someone listening to this would go, geez, you're over the top. I am just sick and tired of just watching people unload their crap. And so we get into all these L&D and training initiatives and design and curriculum. They're really important. And as I was at Training Magazine, I saw some old friends and we all talk about this. They said, well, it's really tough. Today's learner's tough. I said, no, it's not just about learning. It's about a decision they need to make to become approachable and coachable. That's it. That's it. And so when we think about approachability and coachability, I want to tell you a very quick story. The other day with where I live, and if you've never done this as a leader, I would really encourage you to do it. My wife hates this, but I'm going to just share it with you. Go to a public place and just watch management. And usually it's a coffee shop or restaurant. Watch management and the way they interact with their employees, good and bad. Now, I'm not there to judge people because I don't know what they're going through. I just showed up, right? Yet I want to share with you something that happened at a local coffee shop. A young guy who I think was the manager, and there were 2 ladies that were working. And one lady, when I walk in, always says, "Hi, Tim, how you doing? Grande hot chocolate," right? Every single time. Sometimes they just ring it up. They don't even ask me. And they just do a great job. And this young guy was, he's breathing heavy. He's like, okay, look, from now on, if you could just go through me, that would be great. And so this young lady said, so with this situation, I don't know what they were referencing. You want me to go through you to be sure I understand you? And he said, yes. And she said, okay, no problem. No attitude. She was very polite. She was in front of customers. And here was the funny thing. The guy goes, look, I'm the number 1 guy here. That's what he said as a boss. So then I'm watching the employees and they're making their drinks, jaws are clenched, and I'm looking and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe he just said that. And then he said, look, I think we're doing a great job, but I need this to go through me because I'm the number 1 person here. And he was basically saying, I'm the manager. You need to listen to me. And I was watching. So I sat down on a chair, pretended to look at my phone, and he went into the kitchen, and immediately the 2 employees started whispering, God, I can't believe he just said that. Oh my gosh. And it was in front of customers. So that comment, I'm the number one guy, had a domino effect, and it was rolling fast. It was rolling downhill. He comes in, they clam up, which I'm sure he noticed. And I sat there and I thought, wow. And what he needed in that moment, it was not my job. I almost did something. Anyone who knows me knows I'll speak up. He needs to be approachable and coachable with his people. Yet he demanded and he drew a line in the sand. He separated himself from his employees, maybe separated in a negative context. So when we're working with people, there's a lot of stuff going on in the workplace. And I think about our ability to have coachable minds. I want to leave you with a very quick thought. When somebody is coachable, when somebody is really positive, and I'm just looking up another image to share with everybody. When somebody is making it easy for the leader, I always go back to this notion. Do you know your response verbally and non-verbally will dictate in a moment if somebody's willing to help you? So if you give somebody feedback and someone goes, well, it wasn't, did you talk to John and Susie? They were just as guilty. Does that sound familiar? And in that moment, you know what happens? The leader starts forming an opinion. We don't talk about this at all. We sure as heck don't talk about it in high school or college. Now, if somebody gives you feedback and you say, oh, that's awesome. Well, first of all, thanks for the feedback. Would you mind if I digested it? I want to reflect and really give this some careful thought. If you're cool with it, I'd love to come back to you. Now, if you're a leader in those two role play demonstrations, which one would you want? Which person would you want to give feedback to? Well, probably the second one, right? Because it's pleasant, it's upbeat, I'm reflecting, I'm thinking. And I tell this to people all the time. Your response dictates if they ever want to give you feedback again. Though they might be in a position where they have to, but that isn't want to. So I always tell this to people. If you are not coachable, let me just share this with you. If you are not coachable, you are pushing people away. And I promise you, when you start hearing silence, especially as an individual contributor, and you want to move up in the organization or make more money, you better look in the mirror. And if you don't have a mirror, buy a mirror. And if you don't have a mirror that you look at, wallpaper your house in mirror. Get over it. Cut the crap. I'll give you another example. When I think about coachable minds, and I use these examples, but these are learned behaviors. When a parent comes to me about their kids' playing time, and I've coached boys volleyball, I really don't care what the parents think about me because I wasn't hired to coach parents. And when they come and they ask you, why isn't my son playing, or my daughter, in my case, son, and I start responding, they go, yeah, but they were not there to learn. They were not there to listen. They were there to get into a discussion to potentially fight for more playing time or prove a point. And so when I have those conversations, I always ask one question. I said, what's your reception with this? What do you mean? I said, well, I can tell, my sense is you're a little amped up right now. Blood pressure's high. Well, I'm upset. So I want to replay something back for you. And I said, just take a deep breath when I say this. So you're upset. Are you upset with me? She goes, well, one mom goes, well, a little bit. I said, so we haven't even talked yet. And you're already upset with me. What do you think is going through my mind? Well, I don't know. I said, well, I can tell you. I don't even want to have this conversation because I can tell whatever comes out of my mouth, you're going to rebuttal it. So I'm going to start with this question. What's your son's understanding? And she said, I don't know. And I said, well, let me just share this with you and let me quote your son. He does know. For whatever reason, he hasn't chosen to tell you. I don't know what the reason is. I don't think it's bad. And his word to me, Coach, I know I'm not part of the starting lineup. I totally get it. I love being a part of this team. That is a verbatim quote from your son. So I have another question. Is this about you or your son? And I smile and she goes, oh, it's just really hard to sit there. I said, so it's about you. Well, no, it's about my son. I said, well, no, he already knows the answer that you didn't know. Do you want to hear why he's not playing in the front team? She goes, no, because she quickly came to the conclusion he's not one of the best kids. That is tough. That is really tough to be receptive to that information. My kid's not good enough. If your kid's not good enough, another person's kid's not going to be good enough. If somebody goes for the manager promotion and 3 people apply, one's getting it, 2 aren't. One was good enough, 2 weren't in that moment. What are you going to do about it? So I go back to something that I love, and it is by far my favorite book, Grit by Angela Duckworth. Guts, resilience, intensity, tenacity. In her research, she said it's the #1 determinant of success. Perseverance and progress over a period of time where there's change and challenge. Most people just give up when they don't get the promotion. Well, they never cared about me. My boss never had my back. Oh, God, stop. It's just ridiculous. So I think leaders have it tough today. So I would throw this out to all of you. I want to share this with you very quickly. We have actually started a monthly service called Coachable Minds. And Coachable Minds is something that I would encourage you to just take a screenshot of this and get the information, and we'd be happy to share it with you. Coachable Minds is a monthly service where we teach people and prompt them to take actions on how to become coachable, to practice feedback, to practice attitude, to practice teamwork, to deliver random acts of kindness, to praise other people to upper level management, and get people literally practicing positivity, feedback reception. Because when we have more people that are approachable and coachable, what happens? It makes it easier on leaders. Now, that is not the sole objective. What's also going to happen is you're going to create greater succession planning. So again, someone just put a chat in. Here's the screen or the QR code. Take a screenshot. We'll send you some information. It is a really cool service called Coachable Minds, and I would love to share it with you because once we work with clients, we actually measure every single step of the way. So again, I go back to fame, feedback, attitude, motivation, engagement, just to name 4 areas. People need to practice leadership latitude, practice leadership reception, practice the things they need to practice in order to become not only just great in their present job, but potentially become future leaders in the organization. Once you do that, the workplace gets stronger, teamwork fiber strengthens, people's individual goals are met. Yet so often the leader-subordinate relationship is around the job and the work being done. And so if someone hears something they don't like, we have emotional buttons on our body. We trigger, we fold our arms, we roll our eyes. Okay. So remember that coffee shop story. The minute that manager left the room, and I don't like what he did, those 2 people started whispering. So guess what happens? They're out of alignment with each other. They're all doing a great job, but you could feel the tension. And you can feel the tension of the customers listening to this. And so when those things happen, they break down the fiber of what the leader's trying to accomplish, the team, what people are trying to accomplish on an individual basis. So one of the things that could have happened in that moment, going back to that story, is for her to say, well, hey, would you mind if we just talked in the back just real quick? It's out of earshot and says, say, I want to share this with you. I hope I have your permission to share some insight of what just happened out in front of customers. The manager might go, well, what? You just announced you're the #1 guy here, verbatim. And I just wanted you to hear that, not in front of them, but I also wanted to give you that visibility because I could sense some other people's facial expressions when you did it. And it might have been mine. And so when you do that, now you're a collective unit. Now you're a united front, for lack of a better description. So if you want to accelerate your leadership programs and your coaching and your mentorship programs, teach Coachability. Check out again. Someone just put it in again. I'll put it out here. Here's the QR code for Coachable Minds. Fill out that form. We'll get you some information, and hopefully it will serve you well. Thanks for your time, everybody. I hope this was helpful. Thanks.